to, there we go. All right, so Jimmy just gave us a treatise on basically the Japanese version of the Alpha and the Omega. You guys weren't here for it. Sorry about that.
The matching coffee cup.
There you go. Yeah, that's fancy. I got my Old Faithful going on. So yeah, we're gonna talk about the World DAO proposal that I booted up. I got some interesting feedback from some people. I really want this. Moon Bandits is here, TC's here. We had some discussion about it, but nobody really edited the document. I think the main thing I'm gonna actually change when I bring it up, just so that you guys help me not forget. Dennis was asking, so I just kind of set the token total supply at the same as the Uplift DAO, but there's not really any reason to do that. So he's like, what if you did 10 million or even 1 million? So I think I'm going to change it to 1 million. So I think that's a bit of a fun kind of 2 order of magnitude jump down from the sort of anyway. So any ideas that come up, blah, 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 we'll put them in there. But I'm
is that the thinking because they're going to have less people in each one? Is that the idea? And collectively you would have more, so you'd need more.
Right. Like tokens. The way I'm thinking about it is like, let's say in the distant future, we have 100 worlds, right? And if we have 100 worlds, then we would have 100 million, world DAO tokens out in the ecosystem compared to 100 million in the sort of universe governed layer.
And what's cool is you could sit on.
I didn't hate that.
And what's cool is you can sit on, like, you can be part of multiple world DAOs, right?
100%. And like, I mean, I have land everywhere, and so like, I would start with that, right? But we'll go through it here. I want to pull the game up and get gratitudes done first before we get too deep.
I'm sorry, Borvalis. I'm really sorry, Borvalis. I don't.
Well, and so this is an open question, right? I kind of ignored the Our Planet worlds. Probably unintelligently, right? Like because we probably should do something there. But like those NFTs aren't ours, and like it's kind of weird. But like, should they be allowed to have self-determination? Of course they should, right? Like one of the things that sparked this whole conversation was somebody coming in and like wanting the difficulty level turned up. I believe that's what it was. Please excuse me if I'm getting this wrong, but basically like had a Borvalis specific proposal.
Right.
And the only place to bring that right now is the main governance DAO, where it mostly got ignored, right? Which is fine. Definitely not, probably not. Well, I shouldn't say definitely, but very likely not take quorum because Borvalis is its own small community, and that's kind of what got me thinking about it. And of course, since then, I just like this idea more and more for 50,000 reasons. But I'm probably biased at this point. Anyways, so let's do the work first, and then we'll get after it. PC Moon Bandits, G-Kid would love gratitude from you guys. Lisa, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Let's start with you this morning. What are you grateful for?
Oh, it's my pleasure. I'm usually always with you anyway, just in the chat.
It's true. So yeah, what are you grateful for?
Has anyone done a gratitude for snapshot.org?
I don't know, but you can.
Let's do it. Like you, I've been thinking about the communities having their own, voting, their own governance of resources. And so having, I imagine in the future, like you say, 100, well, that might be just worlds. Like everyone in the world might be a DAO, and those DAOs might be having seats in the main. It's just nice to be able to have a lot of DAOs, and Snapshot.
Right, and I think like having. And part of that, and we'll run through all this stuff, but like my initial thought was all the DAOs their DAO tokens, if possible, their DAO systems, if possible, should be on the chain that they're on, right? So like Wax DAO is this new cool thing that's popped up that basically has all the functionality of snapshot.org that would allow the Wax worlds to do that. Ethereum worlds would obviously, I think, that's easy to do on Snapshot. And then, because we still want to go multi-chain, right? At the end of the day. So then we can do that. But yeah, could you imagine having like the World DAO Congress? Because I can, and that's Absolutely. A super fun idea. Like when there's 100,000 people in the Uplift, and we basically have this form of galactic representative governance is kind of fun. Anyway, so
I
It's
agree.
funny to me how you swear. It's really telling that you're going for the World DAO Congress. Like I'm kind of excited for the Congress, but I'm more excited for the World DAO Olympics, right?
Yeah, no, I think because it's sort of like
Corey
guilds could just be World
swears
DAOs,
he's
right?
done with politics, but every chance he gets, he goes back.
Shut up. Damn it. I keep trying to
You
get
miss
out. It
me.
keeps dragging me back in.
It is fun. We see it from our own perspectives because I was thinking about it from, wow, more communities and opportunities for communities to collaborate because I'm always thinking about communities. So it's fun to compare notes. And that's why we need it, though. That's all the more reason because we each come from a different perspective and together we can get things done.
Amen. I mean, if that's not like the whole point to the DAO idea anyway, right? Like we want to increase the number, of ways that as humans we can collaborate intelligently, right? And it just like this allows us to really iterate along those lines, so we can kind of get better and better at it all the time. So GKid's grateful that his health's feeling a little bit better. TC is grateful for air conditioning. Fair enough.
Yeah, me too.
Right? Jimmy D.
I've got a couple actually. Like I've been away for a week. I hope people noticed. If they didn't, I'm sorry. I'll do a better job before I go away next time.
They did. You've been missed. At the very least, by me. I mean, I got all giddy this morning realizing that you were gonna come hang out with us.
Jimmy's back. Jimmy's back.
Yeah. So I'm officially homeless. I handed in my keys today.
Awesome.
I'm hanging out. I'm hanging out in a temple. So I'm going to do a couple gratitudes. First of all, I'm grateful for Osaka because I've been there for like 2 decades and I'm leaving very soon. I've kind of already left, but yeah, that's my first.
Okay.
Second, I'm the type of person, Corey, that doesn't actually go to funerals. I don't like going to funerals. I really dislike funerals because like it just seem weird to me, right? Like if I don't go to the funeral, I can believe in my head that the person's not really gone because I don't see people that much anyway. It's a weird thing that I have, right? I kind of haven't talked to you that much this week because it was easier for me just not to talk to you rather than not be on the show with you every morning. So actually, Corey, I'm grateful for you and I'm grateful to be back here today, but mostly I'm just grateful for Corey and this show and everything we do together. So as weird as that sound, I'm glad I didn't have to go to our funeral even for a week. Right. Like that's, and my third one is, I've been sitting, following, listening in the background and things that have come out of the Uplift community, the people that are here with us that are building over the last 2 weeks are just amazing. So I'm just insanely grateful for everyone who believes in the Uplift. I hope 3 is not too many.
You know it's not.
Yeah, the Uplift, when everyone's going around saying, "Oh, this time in crypto, what are you going to do? We're going to build." And the Uplift, they're actually building. The manifestation of action is in the Uplift world.
Hell yes.
What?
Yeah.
Like I thought we were dead because Minecraft banned NFTs and we didn't stop building. We kept doing
this
shit. We
still
fast-tracked stuff. Like...
Yes, I'd like to thank Mojang for the interesting few days.
Seriously, right down here. I'm grateful for Mojang's ignorance. That's still true.
Minecraft went from the dominant platform to one of many spaces that people will be in. That was echoed everywhere, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they adapt, right? I mean, they're gonna have their Radio Shack moment and suddenly not be relevant. Or be awash in other options. And honestly, it's good for the whole space what they did. It really is, right? Because like looking at how
absolutely
even just we are reacting to that. We're like, cool, hold our collective beers, right? And now after finding, obviously we found with Mind Test a very plausible. There's still a lot of study left to go into it. There's still a lot of open questions, but that looks like probably the easiest, simplest thing to do first, right? But then like the second we get over there, it's open source, and like so now the EULA's gone, right? So now like we made so many decisions to be on the right side of the EULA so much that even if they shifted the rules a little bit, we'd be still okay, right? And I mean, which is why we're fine now, frankly, right? Because they, you know, the stuff that they actually got, you know, pissy about people doing, we have never done, right? So anyway, but it's still like they can change the rules again, blah, blah, blah. We got this whole thing we got going on, but now there's a ton of shit that we could just do. I don't know. I've talked about this before, but I'm getting pretty fucked.
Well, that's the whole point of the metaverse, isn't it? I mean, you're only limited by your imagination. And so the first thing, you know, when Jen and I were talking, we had a great conversation about it. I mean, she's incredible. We had this fabulous conversation. And I mean, the first thing was like, well, okay, let's name our lands, because the lands and the worlds are going to stand on their own. They're no longer bound in Minecraft anymore. That's just one place. Now it's the Uplift World in Minecraft, or Lisa's coffee shop in Genesis in the Uplift World in Minecraft, right? But that whatever that land is going to go on beyond Minecraft for sure. And immediately that's what I started thinking about, which is kind of cool, because now we can be everywhere with that resource, you know?
Right. Absolutely.
That access.
I got access to DALL-E 2 this weekend. I said I sort of waxed philosophical. I think it was on Friday night and Lisa, thank you so much for joining us on the thing. We got super nerdy.
That was fun. That was so fun.
On the happy hour. And you know, I've been obsessed with this idea now that, you know, Minecraft Minetest, the voxel platform that we're likely to be on, is going to have 1 meter blocks, right? So what happens when there's 10 centimeter blocks, or when there's 1 centimeter blocks, or when there's atom size blocks? And we can intelligently sort of manipulate, you know, those in a meaningful way, right? And we want to maintain the idea that as a citizen of the Uplift, you don't need a coding degree to build, right? That's going to be important ongoing. I actually was tossing around this idea of figuring out, you know, with Minetest, we're going to be able to make our own blocks, but could we make a 10 meter by 10 meter by 10 meter region, right? And build a block inside that, and then have that re-rendered as a block that you can build with at 1 meter. So technically we've gone down to 10 centimeter blocks, right? And just the amount of creativity that would, you know, engender. But then I got a hold of DALL-E 2. If you guys haven't seen some of this stuff yet, I'll start sending you guys some of the pictures. It's fucked up, right? Like I was on the night cafe thing where you basically put in some text and like it kind of auto generates and then evolves this picture or whatever, right? It's very fancy, you know, sometimes even makes sense. It's always kind of beautiful and it's really fun. DALL-E 2 is like, you know, AI learned how to Photoshop, but like for real, right? And so like you ask for, one of the things I asked for was, I absolutely will try that. Thank you. I tried you know, a sailboat at sunset, you know, in a lonely cove or whatever. It's shockingly beautiful, right? I asked for like a cross-legged, like a robot meditating on the moon with a halo, and it gave me that, right? Just all these things, and it got me to thinking like, okay, where does this end up? And where this ends up is you're walking through the Uplift in say 10 years, right? And you're talking about, hey, what would a castle look like over there? And the AI is building it for you in front of you out of like 1 centimeter blocks or smaller in real time, right? And you're changing the color of it. It's like the distance, and this really why I ended up having to get into this rant, Lisa, is like the distance between our imagination and what will become effectively real is shrinking down to nothing.
It's
right?
amazing, isn't it?
It's
amazing.
Absolutely bonkers. It's and you know, it's fun that we're going to be positioned because of the principles that we hold. You have to be able to build, right? Like you have to be able to put one block on top of another. There has to be that right capability, not just a read capability on our metaverse. We're going to be positioned to really, you know, be able to use that or be able to kind of play with that. Anyway, it's fucking super fun.
It's so cool.
Remember how excited we were when like lamps communicated with this?
I mean, like, sadly, like, you're totally dating us right now, but yes.
like we haven't haven't seen anything yet, right? Like, I mean, like
Yep.
it's ridiculous, and I'm super excited about it too, right? It's funny because, like, again, perspective is everything, right? Like, I think the pixel art idea of what could happen with mind test is really interesting. But for me, what I'm most excited about is the fact that, like, sorry, Mojang, but I'm kind of excited about the fact that we're moving off of Minecraft in a way, right? Like, we'll still use it if it's there, but we're looking at other options. And for ages, I've been saying to you, Corey, on the show, like, I can't wait till the day when one of our NFTs plugs into 5 different worlds, and they all look different, right? They all do different things. They're all maximized for different potentials, right? Like, eventually, you know, we're gonna get you back to Fortnite, so I can see you get your ass kicked, right? Like, maybe not, but
I mean, it is
you know
true
what
that
I'm saying,
Epic
right?
Games
Like, this
is very
super
pro
exciting, right?
NFT. So yeah, that would be fun. I mean, we should do that show sometime. But I like genuinely
pro NFT is almost like it doesn't mean NFT anymore. I think NFT really means decentralization. I mean, that's what they're saying, right? Like, Minecraft wants to keep it within their ecosystem and control it in various ways. And some of those are really logical, meaningful reasons of security and safety and such like that. But at the same time, what we're really talking about is we want things more open, where people can have some control and ability to imagine and build based on that.
And own, right?
And
like,
own and have rewards from that. Like, ownership is a concept, but it's mainly a concept because we want the rewards from those things ongoing, so that the things we work on have ongoing value in the way that we need to live on Earth, right? Like, we're all trying to survive on Earth. So how do we do that? And how do we build and make better experiences for people on Earth while we're doing that? If we think that way, that's the new way. I think that's the decentralized way, where, like we said, we each have our perspectives and values and come together. And that's it's interesting who's lining up on which side, because it almost sort of polarizes at some point.
Yeah, no, it's I mean, it definitely forced me to look at super basic first principles. What are we actually trying to build here, and why? And that has been really useful. Anyway, do you guys have anything you want to, like, just shout out real quick before we dig into this plan? And just as a caveat, obviously you guys know this, but anybody in the comments, shout out any question, any clarification, any idea. This is kind of the last step of me workshopping this before we actually put it out for a vote. And then I hope that you'll come out with as many DAO tokens as you can and vote for this bad boy. Even if there's, like, I like doing just a dichotomy vote. If anyone can think of any ways that you'd like to see sort of options baked into the voting structure of this, let me know that too, and we'll bake those in. But Lisa, Jimmy, anything to add before we dig in?
I just like TC's mention of not having cost.
I mean, I like the fact that you're doing this.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, sorry. I might have a little bit of a like. I like the fact that you're doing this live, and I would like to. Corey's been saying for a while, ever since the buy world with an obscene amount of upliftium, to go into the discords and put on your proposal out there so that people can workshop it. And I would say, if you have a proposal that's want it workshop live on the show, then, like, definitely get involved, because I think Corey's and I are really open to doing this live. It helps us and helps the community understand things better, right? Let's dive in and let's set the standard
at the
for
worst case,
for all proposals.
We had that time where we basically went through all the proposals that came out live, just because I wanted to catch up and two birds with one stone or whatever. But I definitely feel like it's become a thing. Oh, Brian's getting fed his medicine through a crack in the door over there. Hi, Babs. Hi. We're on camera. No one can see you. She hates me on camera. She doesn't even like when I talk about the fact that she exists. Anyway, all right. So rock and roll.
So the World DAO. She just missed Jimmy D. We know.
Yeah. No, that's very likely. That's very likely. It's fun too. People still freak out when I tell them that we've never been in the same room. And
it depends on your definition of a room.
I'm going across.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
You've both been in my room.
Maybe soon.
I have you on my TV every day.
There you go. Way to make it
Right?
weird.
That's a little bit scary.
And awesome. All right. So yeah, so we've been tossing around this World DAO idea for a long time. And I think I basically threw it past with our experience with Snapshot and how that's been going. I just started wondering, like, what's actually stopping us from doing this quicker. Anyway, so the summary: launched World DAO tokens on the blockchain. Blockchains where they reside. Currently, 2 would launch on Ethereum and use snapshot.org, and the rest would launch on Wax. Presumably, I should probably learn how to spell right with the new Wax DAO. World DAOs will allow for each world to have as much self-governance as can be allowed to not negatively impact the universe of the Uplift. So, and again, like, everybody just like tell me shut up, chime in, just stop me whenever you have a thought. So World DAO jurisdiction. Each World DAO will elect representatives or representative committees to enact its will. And there was some fun debate around this. Like, this is not somebody who will make decisions as a representative. This is like an executive that will take, a DAO vote and then be the one responsible for making that that happen, right? Not to sort of make decisions like representative democracy. That's not what this is about. This is like electing somebody that's going to actually do the work and sort of be the central node for discussions and that kind of thing. So each DAO will run its own treasury using the new token for mining, LP rewards, bursaries for various projects, positions, or world-specific development work, or to sell to add other crypto to its treasury, or to promote and run special events. So, and again, like, we'll get into the tokenomics. Basically, the idea is 25% will drop out, and we'll get to this later, but just to give people an idea, 25% drops to landholders in 2 tranches between now and Christmas. This should sound familiar. And then the rest of the 75% would get dropped out to the treasury in monthly allotments that would be deflationary until the end of 2024. So there was, it's going to be some stuff there. So each World DAO will have control of the world page on theuplift.world. I should probably mention that. All right. And it's content on enter.theuplift.com, and we'll elect who will run and curate it. So yeah, the world page on, I think that's actually going to be on theuplift.world too.
Yeah,
we'll,
I think there were two separate places, right? Like one on the uplift.world and one on the actual homepage. So you could put press releases and also
and like content and like
NFTs, right? That was how I understood.
Right. Yeah,
when you say world, you bring up a good point, because the Uplift world is world, whereas you're saying universe here with the worlds.
Yes.
Is that inconsistent?
It's fun. And by yes, there is definitely some semantic inconsistency there. Like, if if we said the Uplift worlds, the Uplift worlds felt like a mouthful back in the day. So,
well, it also isn't the right URL.
Right, exactly. I mean, we could get that one, maybe. So we'll vote on all per world variables, such as, but certainly not limited to, Gehring variables. I should probably just change this to Mindtest or any new platform. Actually, we're going to be on Minecraft for a while, so we'll leave that. Moderation tweaks that don't exceed or transgress the universal DAO baselines, or anything like HOA type rules. These would need to be enforced locally, as in our core team is not going to enforce your rules for you. Any different ones. Now, one thing I do want to bring in, long conversations with Tuttle about, what, if we start the mind test thing with basically pretty vanilla gameplay survival options, right? I think then the actual development curve of how we play that survival game will be like, that'll keep everybody busy and having a blast all the way through winter, right? Like, we'll be able to develop a survival game based on what we want next. And I think it's just going to be a lot of fun, right? Like, we're not going to start with something that's sort of like big and baked in. We can start with something relatively small and take any game loop element that we want, and start bringing those in. And World DAOs should be able to vote if they want certain things or not. And then of course it'll get really, really interesting. It'll get really, really interesting to see how the survival world things work out. Now, granted, like that's the other thing. There's a really good possibility that instead of having shared inventory between worlds on Mindtest, we might just use NFTs, which I think is super interesting. But then we're gonna have to figure out balance too, right? If one survival world decides that like brute force mining iron, for example, like would we just turn off their ability to take that out of that system, right? So we're gonna have to make a system that is balanced. So anyway, that's a whole. Thank you for coming on that journey with me. TC said, should we change the MC to empty in the document? And yeah, I left it in there just because I think we're going to be on Minecraft for the like foreseeable future, like 90 days, 6 months, right? So I think it still makes sense to keep that in there for now. But I had to.
Well, you might be on Minecraft forever, right? Like we can always play there.
It's possible. It's possible.
I mean, unless they turn it off.
Right.
Don't even get me started on this.
Actually, Jen and I were talking about since you have all these backups. We were talking about like meeting at a certain backup in a certain place, like July 24th at 2:00. I'll meet you at the tower. Like where we could in the future go play in a particular date and time backup, kind of thing. So you never know where we're going to play in the future. I think we should preserve all the spaces as best we can.
I mean, at some point in the very near future, I'm going to corral Corey into this conversation. So just as a little bit of a teaser, Uplifters Tower exists on Unreal 5. It was built in Minecraft and it exists on Unreal 5. I mean, an NFT can be mapped to whatever we want and discontinued to whatever we want. I mean, people can use whatever freaking platform they want. They can take a goddamn picture of a sandcastle on a beach and upload that to Unreal 5 and that can be the world. I mean, it's blocking someone from having an NFT on one platform doesn't mean that the platform can't be used to create a world that is utilized on another platform. There's your teaser. All right, with the proposal.
I think like to kind of square what both you guys said, like you're talking about like opt into any platform you want, right? So that to me means, and that's obviously super yay, game on, right? And down the road, I think one of the priorities of the DAO should be to be able to, make a fairly easy way to download the object file of your build. Which would allow people to do that. But what Lisa's saying, I think, is really important as well, right? The having the ability to really maintain our history, right? And we're leaving breadcrumbs all the way back. Like when we're on whatever comes after Unreal 5 and an AI is making real anything that comes into our imagination through frickin' brain computer interface or whatever. I would still want to be able to come back to Uplifters Tower the way it is now, even in Minecraft, if they haven't, like if it's still running. I think I would still want that, right? To come back to the very beginning of strata and form and technology. And, it's the beginning of our path, right? And again, like Minecraft will dictate whether that is the case. Worst case scenario, I think, is, we take the world files and it's Mindtest and that's close enough, right? But especially considering where I think we're going to be able to get our server cost in the very near future, right? Because that would be the only constraining, thing for me. Like if our server cost was going to be $10,000 a month, no matter what, like I would shoot Minecraft in the face myself, right? If it's not producing, we would have the all the world files maintained or whatever. Just we wouldn't be able to sustain it. But I think where we're headed,
someone might want to, right? That's the beauty of backups and decentralization.
And
someone might go, "Hey, I had a great week. I'm gonna go reinstall it in Minecraft or something."
Yep. Yeah, that's a possibility. And I think like object files and world files are going to become ubiquitous, right? Like they're big for us now, but in 5 years they're just going to be like, an email. It's going to be nothing.
And it's how you can handle scale too. You can have people going in many places.
And one of the things that I would say about this, World DAO's proposal is, having read through it and kind of, getting sidetracked as much as, people are getting sidetracked with it. I think what's interesting about it is I think this is going to become like a white paper in a sense, right? Like this is going to be a living, this, proposal in itself, and reiterations of it are going to be living, right? Like what if Borvalis decides, hey, well, I mean, nobody else is going to support the servers from Minecraft, but we're going to do it on our own, right? Like just for the Borvalis world, right? Like there's so many potential iterations with this world DAO that like it's actually mind-blowing. Like I kind of understood the grasp of it before, but like now that we're actually, in the thick of it, it makes all the more sense, right? Like this is just the very like scratching the surface of the beginnings,
It's
like
setting
unleash
up, like,
the dogs and see what happens, right?
That's 100%. Like we know this system works. Right. And like, I think Mackie brought up some, I definitely disagree with them, but they're very rational points. It's like, we got a lot of stuff to do. There isn't enough people around here right now. Right. And I'm looking at it as like, this could 10x engagement and 10x the price of land. Right. Like it's the, the chicken before the egg. No. First you need grass. Right. And like, and land upon which that grass can grow. So the, chickens can eat it, yada, yada, yada. Right. Like you just like set up the initial boundary conditions, and then iteration, and that's exactly it, right? Like how many iterations of a world DAO are we away from from people feeling empowered enough to start doing crazy shit on their own? I couldn't agree more, man. That's the fucking bee's knees right there.
And also together, what if there's proposals that people put forward that other world DAOs pick up? Like, let's say there's like a peace proposal someone puts forward and that experiment works really well. Other world DAOs might go, hey, let's also do a peace proposal, for example.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, and in a way, it already happened almost on the opposite, because what happened with the Borvalis proposal that sparked all of this was the Borvalis proposal was like, let's make the difficulty harder. But one of the reasons that like that was so appealing was because there was a proposal for gratitude that said, oh, let's make the world easier, which I thought was fascinating, right? So you can have these counter things that are running in here as well. Anyway, it's going to be really hard to do these DAO world proposals without getting sidetracked. So back on track. Let's go.
No, I mean,
there's so much potential possibility here.
Right? Digression should be the rule. And I think it really... part of the reason why I wanted to do this live is that, as we're walking through this, I really hope that people sort of, grok the potential and the vision around it, right? I mean, obviously I totally agree. I'm entirely biased and bought in, but, I'd love for the rest of the DAO to come along and see this vision too. And I think those digressions help. So tokenomics, again, these are just like, I put down like sort of best fit in the back of my head sort of ideas or whatever, right? These are all amenable if anybody else has a better idea. So the distribution of these tokens would be 25% to current landholders on the actual particular maps in 2 different tranches. Again, the idea would be to do one fairly quickly and then one, towards the end of the year, maybe beginning of next. Then there'd be a monthly allotment after that in a deflationary schedule to last until the end of 2024 to match the most likely next peak in crypto cycle.
I don't think you can say that, Corey. I think you have to take that part out.
I can.
Or hashtag not a financial prediction, one or the other.
No, I mean, here's the thing. I said most likely. Historical precedent says that I'm right. Like,
possibly might be a more appropriate term.
Okay, to match the
possible, hopeful,
possibly, maybe.
It's funny because like all
most likely next week.
Yeah, ask Ross about it.
It's funny because I'm so accustomed to FUD these. Like I'm so accustomed to FUD these days that it's become part of my joking repertoire. So the whole time that Corey was explaining that, all I was thinking is like, only 2 tranches? Shouldn't we have like 25 tranches? Like for every time China bans Bitcoin or every time Mojang bans NFTs, like should we just do that? Like
every time there's a new entry at bitcoinobituaries.com.
Right, like all joking aside, no, I like it. I think it's good. Like it's a model for me. It's a model that worked out really well, I think, for our Uplift DAO, right? And we haven't actually released a date for the second snapshot, which I think is really good, right? Like we want to have a community, but also we want to be able to reward, early community members that supported us and put the work in. So I think it's nice to leave that a little bit open-ended, right? And I mean, we're in the metaverse, man. Dates mean shit.
Right? Yeah, I mean, it's. I think just getting an idea to set reasonable expectations is sort of what I'm after here. And again, like change it, whatever.
Hey Corey, remember those old Saturday Night Live episodes where they used to have like the little intermission shows about, like, I can't remember, but it was like a 25-30 second spot that like would have somebody talking about something. Like, we should do like a 25 to 30 second spot on this show called Reasonable Expectations. Like, we just go on and we just talk on, like, you're not getting shit for free anymore because those people aren't supporting us. So buy something else. For example, just hypothetically speaking. Anyway, I'm excited about new frontiers. And you should be too. Reasonable expectations.
Nailed it. So yeah, I changed the fixed supply down to 1 million.
I like it again, as Lisa was saying, right? You've got multiple people involved in multiple DAOs.
Yep. So I did have some stuff in there. Okay, I want to get to what if in the future adding a coin to a plot, if someone visits your plot, they get your coin, which is used to buy a collection of NFT. You're gonna have to break that up, TC. So like, could you down the road do like a wax DAO thing with your plot? If you like adding a bunch of tokens so that if people come to your token, they're getting a share of that token from that you put in. I think that is a proposal all its own, and it's absolutely possible. Like, I think.
Well, and I think that would more tie into the idea that we had with like punch sign get thing type of thing, right? So like once we could potentially make an Uplift services, requisition.
We can actually probably even connect it to wax DAO, right?
Right, for tracking, and then you would get the tracked info from us, and then you could plug it in however you want, right?
Right.
But I'm with Corey. It's completely different proposal from this because it's a world DAO. So I guess on a world scale, the DAO itself could decide that they were going to do that on all plots on the world, but then that would have to be a vote. That would have to be a proposal that was written. And I think one thing that Corey and I learned quite quickly, and a lot of other people on our team, is once you start getting in the thick of DAOs and proposals and things like that, things start moving quickly, right? And like people have all these crazy ideas that some of them are implemented and some of them aren't, and it's a lot. Like it's a lot to keep up with, right? Like if you think keeping up with the Uplift DAO is heavy, like wait till you start trying to keep up with, I don't know how many worlds do we have now.
And some people will
8 worlds, right?
Right. Some people will, and some people won't. So what? Right? Like that's kind of one of the rules here. And again, like I know I've said this a million times, but it bears repeating. Ideas are dog shit. Your ideas are dog shit. Everyone's ideas, my ideas, dog shit, until it's a proposal. Right? So if you have a good idea and you get a reaction, everyone's like, "Oh, that's a good idea." The immediate reaction is, "Cool, I need to start making a DAO proposal." And if you don't, that idea is dog shit. Right? It's a great filter because everybody has all sorts of ideas. The second that any work, comes into it, maybe it's not as important to you as you thought it was. Right?
And what's interesting is like three different people from 3 different world DAOs could have the same idea and only one of them implements it, and watch what happens to that world DAO.
It could, right? Exactly. I mean, do the work. TC said all my ideas are poop poop. I mean, TC is the obvious, I want to I want to actually excise him from my previous rule and statement. All of TC's ideas are pure gold. Anyway, I mean that's the thing, right? I think it's a great idea, TC. and I am excited to see what proposal comes from it. So Treasury Management, yeah, I had things about like multi-sig
Well,
or
actually,
whatever.
so I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I have a question, right? Because again, I don't really know how to phrase this question, right? Because this proposal, as I said, could be a living document and it could change, right? But what's to stop, a new world from booting up and changing the token supply and the distribution supply? Is that possible? And where's the kind of code book on how that would work?
Like, no new world could have any effect on an old world's DAO token supply.
No, but their own world. Let's say they wanted to change the distribution rate from 25% to 50% to landholders. Like, is this possible under the new DAO system?
So so the initial distribution would be by the global Uplift DAO, right? And so we would be running that. So 25% goes out to landholders in 2 different tranches. That's it, right? And then after that, I'm going to write up a deflationary schedule so that, again, most of the DAO tokens are going out now, and it gets less and less and less, and it peaks, around the end of 2024, beginning of 2025, for no particular fucking reason, Lisa Chan. Right? And so, when that first tranche comes out, the DAO tokens go into the usable, treasury account, right? They can do whatever the fuck they want to do with them, right? Like, they could tack it on to the land mining system for Uplift if they want to, like 100% of it, if they wanted to do that, right? Somebody said like, oh, I would really want to just give it to players so that we attract new players. That's not crazy, right? So like, maybe they want to do 100% of that, right? Or maybe they want to incentivize
send some marketing to players too,
right?
So
exactly.
Right. And again,
maybe they want to incentivize the Upliftium, gratitude token LP pool, right? Like that. Right. There's a zillion things to do, and this is the other thing about iterations, right? Suddenly we have 10 different versions of what you can do with this. Some of them will be more successful than others, and everybody should be taking notes.
Corey? The more you go through it, the more I think it would be helpful to have the Universal DAO have some workshops for the people who want to be leaders in the world DAOs, or be involved or inform voters even, because there's a lot of knowledge. Every time Chris talks about something, you realize how much, has been studied, and that sort of thing will be helpful. The legal, the regulatory, the game mechanics, what's possible, how do we do things, all of that.
Yeah, no, I love that idea, and that's kind of how I see the Congress, not as a voting body, but as like an educational body.
Yeah,
and
Sure,
what I think is interesting too is if you have 8 different world DAOs, and then you just have a YouTube stream where the members, for example, of the Rules and Bans Committee or the members of the Shared Economy Committee want to get together once a week or once a month and discuss what's happening in their DAOs. This would be a really cool point, just kind of as an aside. Second point for clarification, Corey, I want to ask. Now, I think...
Hey, Jimmy, can you cover your mic? It's getting a little windy.
Yeah, sorry. So I think if my numbers are right, there would be 8 world DAOs to start. Now, what happens if we were to spin up another world on Solano, for example? Now, would a world DAO automatically be implemented, or would there have? I'm assuming there would have to be a proposal that goes through, the main Uplift DAO to have them become a world DAO in their self.
So, I'm assuming there's so much upside to having a world DAO and so little downside that I would be assuming that each new world would get them. But does it need to mature for a while first? Honestly, I don't think so. I think the sooner we put this in place, the better. But that is definitely a decision that we could put it to a DAO vote if we wanted to. And certainly, like, even if I put it into this, I think there's enough open questions that we would want to revisit it with a DAO vote anyway, right? Yeah. So I think just like new worlds requiring an Uplift DAO vote to get ratified, that seems reasonable to me.
It's cool. Cool. Thanks.
All right. So hey, so this is just an idea about rolling it out. First tranche starts in 1 month for Ethereum, then DGen 1, and we should target doing a big auction or pack sale for Thune. In 7 weeks, basically like, being a landholder in these worlds will, show how much, DAO token you're going to get for each world. So by marketing them individually, we can increase primary sales for Ethereum, DGen 1, and even Thune. But then secondary market sales for each one of the maps, and a lot more by focusing only on one per time. So we would take a snapshot of only one world at a time, and basically roll the initial tranches out, over time, basically to maximize that effect of getting primary and secondary up, so we can build the Uplift Treasury a little bit. And then for Treasury Management, we would send a monthly allotment out to duly elected representative wallet, or again, like to whoever's running that wallet. DAOs would be responsible for their own reporting, registration, taxes. When, if applicable, I think we can start without worrying about it too much. But the end state for these DAOs, especially when they start getting bigger, you're going to want to, I believe, register, and we're going to be able to show people how to do that in Wyoming or overseas if they wanted to. But each one of those DAOs could be responsible for doing it on their own. So I talked about staggered release a little bit. World DAOs should be released once per week, staggering the snapshots and promotional mechanics to focus on one area at a time. So here's some of the revenue opportunities. Because holding land will get you World DAO tokens, it will jack up sales on secondary for each world, and primary on Ethereum, DGen 1, and Thune, where we still have some inventory, and future blockchain world releases. So the power to control the world page on the main site could drive a lot more engagement there, which will drive more people to the donate button, which I think passed, but I have to go look. To the daily drip mining and to the fiat monthly member subscription when we get that up and running. Could also supercharge things if and when we make the world page daily drip mining competitive somehow. And I think that's just something that we sort of tossed around as an idea. So basically the world pages, are going to have drip mine mechanics now. You'll be able to go once a day and claim, a little bit of, Upliftium. But the idea is like, the pages that get the most content might get like a boost. They might get a little bit more Upliftium for sort of the next season or something like that, just to start like a little friendly competition in that. So some of the downsides, is there enough interest in each world's core community to make this work right now? I wanted to put in like a lot of the downsides that fundamentally like I don't actually agree with, but just in case, right? I wanted to sort of give voice to them. For me, like I don't think that's true, and I also don't think it matters, right? I think like the sooner we get this stuff started, I think people won't be interested in it until it exists, and the amount of organizational time and dev time and who would actually do the work on this, those people aren't going to be doing a lot of other stuff, so would have the time, and of course, jokingly, all the crying from everyone who doubted us sold land and missed out again. Is that a little bit petty? Yes, it is. It's petty of me.
By the way, in the version I'm updating, I rephrased that into a more neutral sounding sentence.
What's fun about that? Nothing. Anyway, so if anyone can think of any other downsides, again, like even if they if I don't agree with them, I think I want to put them in there. So timeline for implementation. The goal here would be to be aggressive. The Uplift DAO is doing so well creating engagement and tapping into the creativity and spirit of our core community. This could happen in each world while increasing secondary and primary sales and creating a deflationary gamified token environment to keep everyone busy and stacking until the next peak, or around the end of 2024, early 2025 for no particular reason. 1 week to organize launch strategy, refine timeline, prepare tokens. And this, of course, after the vote is finalized. 2 weeks to promote before we start doing anything. Further refine anything we can to streamline the release and function of each World DAO. 10 weeks to release. Boop, boop, boop. World DAOs 1 week at a time. Yeah, voting strategy right now. I think I'm just gonna keep it binary. Fuck yes, or no. I hate DAOs and progress and money. Now, is that a biased voting structure? Yeah, Lisa. Yeah, it is.
Spectrum.
Now, should I stop baking my own framing into stuff?
Whether I hate DAOs or not, I'm going to vote no. You know, I mean, it's okay. You get the point across.
Yeah, I'll fix it.
I mean, if you want a yes or a no, the whole world is built on ones and zeros, so it's not a bad thing. You just might phrase it a little less inflammatory.
I'm gonna frame it. I'm gonna frame it a little bit cheekily, but not very much. So either
I don't usually say be less inflammatory, but
yes or not yet.
Maybe. No's okay for a moment in time.
Okay, fine. I mean, I did.
You need a strategy to get people to vote. Do people know how to vote?
Oh yeah, no, people have been voting a bunch. Yeah, I think we're gonna get votes on this one way or the other. All right, Catfresh, thanks for stopping by. Yeah, just a shout out. Meta Builders wants the Neos Uplift World. We will build the most beautiful version of the Uplift World ever seen. I think it's a brilliant idea to be looking at a bunch of different opportunities. I even pitched Fox from Landbox. We sort of couldn't come to terms that work for them right now. But I think like doing tester worlds all over the place just makes sense, right? And Mike, let's maybe chat this afternoon or tomorrow. I can walk you through what I told with him. And really, like, I want to walk through. Actually, maybe we should do this live, Mike. I want to walk through Neos because I haven't had time to take a look at it yet, and I apologize for that. I haven't even seen it yet, so like I don't know what the capabilities are or what we might want to might be able to do with it or whatever. So we'll take a look at that.
I actually don't think we have anyone lined up for most of the week, so you could probably come on any day, Mike.
Tomorrow, tomorrow we've got JR, who's the largest landholder in Alien Worlds. Thank you, Lisa, for hooking that up.
And this is a big deal because he doesn't go out in the public. This is like quite historic. It's really, really rare he's ever seen. He's not only the biggest landowner in Alien Worlds, he's the biggest landowner in a lot of games on the Wax chain. But he's very generously, I'll take this opportunity, thank you, Corey, to say that today actually is the first day of JR's Lands, which you can find at jrslands.com. And it's on the AW mining platform. So if you mine in Alien Worlds on one of JR's lands, any of his 191 lands, might I add, then you, if you try to claim what we're calling at the big top, so it's at the top of the hour, if you're one of the first 10 people, you get the JR's Lands NFT of the week, which is the circus tent with the sign this week. And also this week is a community NFT of Lisa's Coffee Shop. So I'm launching my first Lisa's Coffee Shop NFT on JR's Lands. And we have several others coming up in the coming weeks. And communities who want to drop NFTs can do that. And not only that, JR is sharing the mining trillium that he gets from Alien Worlds for all 191 lands with the community of the week. So it's a win-win for everyone involved. And he's going to tell you all more about it tomorrow and what communities are coming up, although you can take a peek at most of them on the website right now.
Okay, but I have a question.
Super excited. Yeah.
Like, was that a pre-planned, marketing pitch, or did you just do that naturally? Because that was brilliant.
Well, thank you. Love you, Jimmy. I've been living this for a while because JR posed the question to me a while back when I was working at Alien Worlds of, how can I get more people to mine on my land? Because I'm happy to share with them. And I always remembered that. And so once I had some more time to work on things in the community as a player, I was like, hey, JR, remember that idea? So we put this together. And so I've been thinking a lot about talking about studying circus history and We can talk a bit more about that tomorrow too, but it's a really appropriate analogy for crypto in general and how we're working together to change the world for a better place. There's a lot of analogies with the circus of crypto and the circus of Earth in the past. So anyway, we're going to have some fun with it, and hopefully everyone will play and support JR and each other.
I like it.
Yeah.
I'm happy to be back, mostly to mess with Corey. But sidebar, Corey. Yeah, like I think this needs to be addressed, right? Like we've had a lot of proposals in the community recently that have went up, and like I think a big majority of the team who are actually actively voting on every proposal up until this point have been using quadratic voting. And there's been some really interesting things. Like there's certain people on the team that never vote, right? Like I haven't seen Corey. I never see Corey vote actually. And I rarely vote myself, right?
I vote on everything.
Like pre-proposal wise.
I vote on everything with my player account.
Yeah. So I wasn't finished.
Right?
Like with our big stacks, like we don't go in and maximize the vote. I mean, to be honest, it's quite interesting to see like what people do vote, right? Like the quadratic thing is a little bit different because it lowers the impact of your vote versus other people, right? But we did have a situation recently where somebody changed their vote. One of the team members changed their vote, and they were surprised at how little of an effect it had, right? So this is quite interesting, right? Like I'm trying to kind of suss through these dynamics as well, right? Like we could, of course, go in there and we could vote for everything. I mean, but I think it's quite interesting that the team recognizes the fact that, we want to follow the ideologies of the community. That's part of the DAO. That's why we created
That's why we're doing
it. Like if someone was going to vote Corey out of office, I would go in there with my full power and say, no, screw you. Right.
It's funny. I wouldn't.
Like Corey probably wouldn't. That's the thing. That's what's funny about, right? Like, right. It's like, so like put up a mock proposal.
Here's a question.
The show and see what happens, because the fun thing is the show's not owned by the DAO. So let's.
Yeah, no, we get to do whatever the fuck we want. So
wait a minute.
Right? As a total aside, let's say that Chan wanted to be whatever my position is. I don't even know what that is. Like biz dev, I think, is the only official position that I have right now, which is fine with me for the record. What if Chan was gonna like replace me as this guy? Not on the show, but just in general. Like if we had a CEO, which we don't. And what if I put that proposal up and she was interested? Would you vote then?
Would I vote then?
Yeah,
I probably would.
I'm just curious. I was just like, because honestly, like she's like the person that if I could like handpick. So the person to shepherd this whole thing, it'd be her.
So I would probably vote on the pre-proposal, but not necessarily the final. And I would probably vote quorum on the pre-proposal.
Okay,
right?
Fair enough. Yeah, Jordan said we need the second DAO drop. So I think I think eventually I think you're totally right about that. But I mean, I think if you want more DAO tokens, you should go buy them. They're exceedingly idiotically cheap right now. I have been at scale. Well, for me, it's like a few $1,000 worth or whatever. And I think doing that now versus giving us time to acclimate to this weird new place we find ourselves in,
right? And
focusing on getting over on the mind test and focusing on all of the dev we can now do, that I think we're going to be able to release new features on the website really quickly. I think the end of the year is definitely where I would vote for that. But again, like if anybody wants to put a DAO proposal up with all the justifications for it, for why we should do the second DAO drop sooner, nothing is stopping anyone from doing that.
Open mouth, put foot inside, because if that proposal was up, I would vote against it. Right?
Well,
Because,
here's the
like,
thing, though. Let's be
for
open.
me,
I would too, right, on the face of it, right? But like, what if Jordan's not a dumb person, right? Like, he's a
Definitely not a
smart
dumb
guy,
person.
right? So like, what if Jordan does a proposal up and comes up with justification that we didn't think of? I want to make sure that I'm always open to that, because I don't know what I don't know, right? And so like, we can guess and assume, yeah, probably we're still right about what the timeline is, right? And I think that's the case, but I'm super open to being wrong. Just prove it. Yeah, need a price of DAO on website and a buy now button. We do have the buy now button.
The other thing, though, it would be
price,
interesting to know how much is controlling, like, if you look at the top 10, it looks like it's a lot to get in there. But if you're saying some of those aren't being voted most of the time.
Yeah, I mean, I was just on
you don't need
snapshot
to get in
now.
the
Like,
top 10.
so we've got 100 million total supply. I think distributed right now is probably around 80 million. Again, like my 34 million tranche I never use. The team has 25 million, but only like a third of them ever vote, and usually for quorum, right? So it's basically just the community voting. So you could and that's like 15 million DAO tokens right now, right? In the last little while, I took my player account from 250,000 to close to 1 million, right? So like I have a nice chunk to affect the direction of things because I went and bought it. And again, like anyone is able to do that. The as an example, the financial
Damn
statement
you for buying more. Damn you for wanting more power.
100%. Thank you, voice of FUD, right? Oh, he just wants to control everything. Yeah, I bought some fucking DAO tokens. You can too. 6.6 million UDT for the adopt the statement. The empower statusty, 4.4 million, right? So like I was 25% of that vote. My player account was, right? So like the people's ability to affect change right now, right? Like you could go buy land if you want to with the hopes to get DAO tokens, and that's not a terrible idea. It makes way more sense to me to just go and buy the DAO tokens, which is what I've been doing.
Well, Corey, review, how were they distributed? How did people get them? If you had land and if you had your accounts linked?
If you used, so if you had land, if you had your Ethereum account linked, and also we had a kind of a separate tranche. It's SDP, that's actually not accurate, and I'll tell you why in a minute. So you got land if you had your Ethereum thing attached, and you owned land. Obviously, you got it per land, but you also got it per Upliftium that you used or burnt. Right, so we did it for both. There you go.
That's kind of accurate.
Nice, Roger. So SDP Smarticus is saying TC 1 million is worth 7,289 at the moment. That's actually not true, right? So the DAO token's price is like 0.7 cents right now. But if you tried to buy 1 million, it would cost you $100,000.
Why?
Because the pool is very thin on purpose.
The pool,
right. So you could probably grab a 10% of that for around that price. You'd probably be adding about 30% to the price. But so like it's really important to note, and this is actually important for our bargaining power for the Uplift tokens, DAO tokens that we have in our treasury, right? As far as I'm concerned, 1 million of them is worth well over $100,000, because you would need that to get that, over time, unless like me, you just keep buying little bits of it from the bottom.
But Corey, the World DAO could choose to create a mechanism where people are earning DAO tokens for play, right?
Yeah,
which would be a logical thing to do.
Per world, I think like a gratitude world DAO token. I think, and this is why like those DAOs are going to have 75% of their world DAO tokens over the next 2 years to play with, right? The Uplift DAO has the Uplift DAO has 4% to play with, and then maybe I think like another 3 or 4% that was unclaimed in that first tranche, right? So like maximum. Globally, we have 8%, and we are not in a rush to use those, right? And like, there's been some like emergency stuff where it got asked if we could do that at like the current price or whatever. And I was like, I categorically will not do it. Like, we need that powder dry. It's like we don't have very much of it, and I honestly think you want to think about forward-looking statements. I think, you know, in a couple 3 years, we've got a really good chance to bring the UDT to $1.
But what I like about what what I like about what Lisa said is, like, imagine that, right? Imagine if we have like DAO token wars between various worlds that are paying out, you know, people in those worlds, DAO tokens for those worlds, right? It's like, no, gratitude, we're going to fill up the server. No, you're not. We're Borvalis. We're going to kill you, right? Like, this is really fun idea, right? Like, you'll be able to have autonomy as a DAO over various aspects of the world that you're part of, right? And I think this is really interesting, right? Like, this is, again, 100 DAOs. Like, half of the time, Corey and I and other people on the team can't even keep up with one, right? Like the person who can keep up with everything can't even keep up with it anymore, right? Like this is a really interesting concept if we branch out to 100 DAOs, right? And what I like about it is the fact that, like, I'm gonna keep pushing this, right? Like, because this is my Uplift coupon moment, and I'm gonna be pushing this for the next 10 years. But what I'm most excited, like, what I'm most excited about is a coupon that works in every store, right? And here's what I mean by this, right? If we get to the point where NFTs are tied to 5, 10, 15, 20 different metaverse platforms, right? What happens when these Uplift World DAOs start to focus on different platforms, because that's where they like to be? Your NFTs are still tied to Minecraft. They're still tied to Minetest. They're still tied to Unreal 5. But, you know, there's a new up and coming metaverse that they're also tied to. And this, you know, DAO has decided that this is the next, you know, other side up and coming metaverse. And that's where they want to put their focus. This is a freaking game changer. When you mix NFTs that are tied to various worlds across various platforms, and then you plug that in to autonomy, you're going to have not only a bunch of different communities who are like, oh yeah, we like Borvalis, we like gratitude. I'm sorry, I'm making fun of you guys who are out there who were excited about Minecraft. Minecraft was the beginning. It's not the freaking end. We're going places, and we're going places with NFTs that are tied to multiple worlds. They're called coupons to the metaverse. No, they're not. But
well, it's keys, right? You've got, if you log into Uplift, it's got your keys. And what are those keys going to open in the future? It's going to be more, right? And those worlds that let you have that access, like you're saying, they're going to compete for doing good for their players, right? Like, you're going to be building better worlds, literally, for people. How about that?
Right. And what happens when, you know, the next Kate comes out and decides to tokenize liquidity pools for resources across various worlds, right? Like, we have no control over this. This shit like this is going to get bonkers.
Yes.
That, right.
Right. Like,
and we're being pressured for statements, right? Like, we're being pressured for statements because NFT Worlds released a statement about which platform they're going to move to. Part of the reason we didn't release a statement about which platform we're going to move to is because we're going to be on every freaking platform. I mean, that's my goal. That's the
and
point,
honestly,
right?
like NFT Worlds doesn't know. Right? They
Exactly.
keep talking about, hey, we're going to go build a new game. They've been back channeling to people that I know and have talked to about doing some fucking nefarious, stupid shit with Minecraft stuff still. Right. And again, like, I don't know, like, that's all second, third-hand information, large grain of salt, right? But they haven't said they're doing anything, right? So I think, like, the patience to do whatever. And again, they're gonna end up building a new game. They've got $18 trillion. Of course they are, right? They're gonna figure out the same things that we, you know, have figured out before too long. And, you know, it's only a matter of time, and more power to them, right? Great. And, you know, by then we will have figured it all out, and we'll be building where we need to be building.
Right. Imagine if there was a credit card that people could send money to, and you could spend that money in any country, in any currency of the world that you wanted, and you wouldn't have to pay transfer fees. Imagine if such a thing existed. It does exist, by the way. Right. It actually does exist. Right.
Go on.
Right. Like, this is the way that I see Uplift World NFTs. Like, at the point where we get to, like, you know, Corey and I have said this, right? Like we don't hate other metaverses. I mean, we have a freaking show on this channel called The Metaversal Effect, where we invite people on to talk about immersives. We invite people to talk, about all of these other metaverses, right? It's like, but like, why would you subscribe to one thing when you could have multiple use cases? I mean, are you wearing a watch right now, Corey?
I am not.
Lisa, are you wearing a watch?
No.
How many people out there that just really like watches aren't wearing watches these days because you have a freaking iPhone? Now, the guy who created the iPhone was crazy, but it's a device that has multiple ideas. And if you're thinking of your NFT as a one use case NFT, wake up. Steve Jobs, ladies and gentlemen, Steve Jobs, right? We need NFTs that have multiple use cases, that have multiple, things that people can build and play off of. That's my rant for the day. I'm grateful for Jimmy rants.
Yeah, I think, the going back to first principles on all this stuff, right? It became really, really clear that there's tons of different technologies that do now and in the future will allow us to place one block on top of another to build a read-write metaverse where we can do these things with each other and own what we do. That's ubiquitous, right? There's only going to be more of them in the future. Great, right? The network that we're building in the NFTs are forever, and that's the juice.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Who knows what's going to do? You know what? It's not always the creators that are going to determine what happens with those NFTs, right? I mean, did the ape creators know? Like people are going to build games on top of it. People are going to use the cards as access to other games. Like we can't even begin to imagine. I think more and more of it is going to be outside of the NFT space and in what people firmly call reality. It's, Corey, you said something earlier I wanted to mention too. You were talking about the data getting super tiny. And, I can't help but think, and this is happening every time we talk lately, but it's almost like we're building the future that builds Earth, because you're talking about creating data, making it tiny, how would it travel in light? And now here we are in a simulation of, this Earth is a simulation. I mean, it just gets crazy when you start thinking about it. What we're doing could so easily lead to that. So it's fun. I think we have to really think about what kind of world or whatever universe, metaverses, where do you want to live in the future? Where do you want your minds as people and as collectives and small groups? How in 20 years, how do we want the world to be? This is a great opportunity because we have a chance. We have time. We can do experiments. We can learn with each other. We can discuss things like we are with the paper, these concepts, and hopefully set some thinking and discussion for future people to look back at it as well. But we have a big opportunity right now. This is a great case. I'm so glad you guys are so devoted to every day. For how long has it been now? Over a year.
We're pushing 2 years, I think.
It's amazing. Absolutely amazing. And the reach is, I tell so many people, the reach is so much bigger than it shows in the numbers. It's so funny.
Yeah.
Actually.
I mean, I've been collecting tears in a jar since Corey and I met, and I accidentally drank them the other night, so I don't know. I have no measurement of that.
I don't understand that, but yeah. Because
it's a long, hard
road. But I've never actually been in the same room with you. And
right? Yeah, I mean, like, I think the rule of thumb is like, we're obviously definitely gonna hug. Jimmy, you're one of my best friends in the world, but I think there's a real danger of
standing up in a bathtub for a week and never doing a show
with a whole bunch of scotch. Yes, like that's literally where I was going, and we might even do a show from there. I don't know, but like, yeah, there's been threats of a bottle of scotch in a bathtub, and like, I'm in.
Yeah.
So, TC, this is interesting to me. Again, it's all about perspective. I mean, the Uplift rewards card is enter.theuplift.world. That's the rewards card. That's the thing that you're getting rewarded.
No more tears.
I mean, I like it. So, I'm excited. Again, like, to all of you who haven't seen me in a week, like, thank you so much for giving me the time that I need to pack up my life and move to North America, which is, much easier than crossing an ocean. So I'm excited.
Do you need a place to live, Jimmy? You can come visit for a bit if you want. Come on over with your family.
Well, I might at some point. I mean,
We'd love to see you.
the Uplift tour bus might actually become a thing. But yeah, like I'm really I'm stoked, you know, to get back, and I'm going to be in and out for the next couple of weeks. But Corey, what, you know, what needs to happen for this proposal to go live, and when's it going to go live? I mean, I think we workshopped this.
Yeah. What else?
If people have comments or questions, what should they do with it? And what's your plan for like making it live? Do you have a deadline for this? You know.
Sorry. I started multitasking. I shouldn't do that. As far as like the World DAO thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's next?
I'm gonna put it up for pre-proposal today. I'll probably have Tuttle give it a once over. You know, just because she's the top. So I'll put that up. And you know, I think I'll put it up for 3 days. And you know, we'll see how that does. And you know, hopefully everybody kind of backs me on that. You know, go buy some UDT and get after it. Lisa, I just got that. Thank you very much. I'll incorporate some of the changes. Anyway, so yeah, and then you know, we do a 3-day final vote. You know, if it reaches quorum, this one you might reach quorum because I'll add an abstain in there. And I have 34 million DAO tokens, and you know, on this particular occasion, I might just use them. I probably won't have to though. For the record, like it'll hit quorum. I'm just saying, like wink, wink, nudge, nudge, rock and roll.
You know what I like about being part of a DAO, actually, Corey, is like, you know, we don't have to use the disclaimer. This is not financial advice. I mean, if you want a voice, go buy DAO tokens. It's that simple. Has nothing to do with finances. You want a voice, go buy DAO tokens, right? like up those DAO tokens, right?
Or get someone to give them to you. Don't forget, I think most people got in the space, people giving them stuff. So
yeah, but again, my favorite thing about this is like the biggest voice decided not to use it and go and buy DAO tokens so that they could have a voice. Just saying. I
mean, if it's not clear yet that I'm a tad dedicated to this, like, just fuck off. like, I don't have time.
Maybe Corey will give away some DAO tokens.
Fuck that. No, denied. Here's the thing.
That's going to be my thing.
Ideas are dog shit, and DAO token giveaways are dog shit. Now, the second one isn't true necessarily.
No, I think you should be able to play for it. I think the world should create ways people can play for it.
I disagree, but I do like your original.
If you don't care about the DAO, I don't want you to have DAO tokens.
Right.
Like that value proposition is not meaningful to me. Right. Now, like if it's a way to kind of like, oh, I have these DAO tokens, and then suddenly you're curious and like, what are they for? No. And then maybe you just like, you know, go sell them or whatever. Like, I don't know. Like, Lisa, you're really smart, and you could probably convince me otherwise. But like my initial gut reaction is that if you buy them, or you have land and you were part of our ecosystem and you deserve them, right? Whatever you do with them after that, that's on you, right? That's why I felt so strongly about getting some of them.
I know it sounds crazy, but not everyone can afford it, and not everything should be based on money, right?
Well, and this
so
is
people
where
are doing
I disagree. I think if you're an active part of the community and you are earning Upliftium and other rewards, like we gave out Nefty for a while, we gave out Wax, like you can liquidate those for DAO tokens if you really want to say. So I disagree. But I think that caveat,
I don't disagree with that, and there should be a pathway to go from person with computer and time to Uplift DAO tokens.
Yeah.
Well, but I think it's a long road, and I think it starts at World DAO, not at Global DAO.
Exactly, and I think that's where Lisa kind of pegged it, is the World DAOs could potentially give away DAO tokens that could 100%. Be traded in for actual Uplift.
For whatever they wanted to do, right? Like each World
and
DAO,
each land, each person. I mean, anybody can say I'm giving something away and have a claim link. I mean, it can be down to the person level. I do think it's a path. It's what you said. Like there has to be paths and options for people and examples for other people who might want to copy it or evolve it. And that's what's so beautiful about this. It's like we get to reinvent how we all live and work and play together in this new world.
And what I like about this actually is we've had a lot of dissenters over the ages, and Corey and I sometimes we disagree on this, as do other people on the team. But like any one of those dissenters could have went in and made a proposal. They don't. They could have went in and bought DAO tokens and blocked a proposal. They don't, right? And I think this is quite interesting, right? Like you know, it goes back to the age-old adage of you know, before there were computers and the internet, put your money where your mouth is, and if not, you know, then I don't know, go bother somebody else.
Just keep in mind though, not every country, like money isn't the same in every country. We have people in our communities from around the world, and the scale of what you get for what money you have access to is very, very different. And if you're talking about people having to feed their families or spend money on voting, guess what they're going to do? And
Right.
those people might have the best ideas, who are, you know, they might be the ideas and the perspectives that we actually need to make the world a better place. So
I
Yeah,
love
so-
that ethos, and I wanna support it, but there really has to be a balance between the people that are bringing finance to it, right? And the people that just can't, and I definitely want to capture their lightning in a bottle in the same way that the DAO right now is capturing our main sort of core communities energy in a bottle, right? And so the pathways that I would suggest is, you know, we get down to the point where it is genuinely free to play, right? And in the future, it's free to play, and you can get to it on a phone, right? Or it's or you know. And this is true. Tuttle feels very strongly about this the same way that you do, Lisa. And you know, to be on a committee, you don't. I think you need one DAO token, and she'll give it to you, right?
Yeah.
So to be part of that in a very visceral way, if you want to turn your genius into work that has a profound effect on the direction of the uplift world, you could do it today.
Well,
Yeah.
and even if
with zero money.
And even if no one will give it to you, you can go into the Discord and help workshop a proposal like what we just covered today.
100%. Yeah, there's no barrier to it. Like I don't check if you have a DAO token to work on a DAO proposal. I don't care. Right. So there is a path to that. And I absolutely think like with the World DAOs getting an allotment every single month, there are already people who will be, you know, angling to control the DAOs of particular worlds so that they can give 100% of the monthly allotment to player rewards, right?
Yeah.
Which means that like suddenly, you know, with even while we're on Minecraft or whatever, if you can get in, and it's not gated now, so anyone can get in without any NFT whatsoever, right? If you got Minecraft Java, you can get into the Uplift now.
Which is what, $26.99 or something?
Yeah. And again, my test is 0, right? So like the next iteration, you know, it will be free to play. If you've got internet access and a computer, you're going to be able to get on board. So
yeah.
Well, and I mean, also from my perspective, it's like I'm an idiot. Like really, like inflation's out of control. I'm moving back to North America. Like that's silly. I should be moving to Thailand or somewhere else, you know, right? Like that would make more sense. But like this is the world that we live in, right? Like we can't us up the world that we live in and give people everything for free. I learned a very expensive lesson not so long ago on that note, right? Like we have to kind of, I mean, 1% of the world is a believer in crypto, right? And if we want to take over the world, then we have to be transparent. We have to be open, but we also have to do it from within the framework of the world that exists, right? And I do feel really bad for people who don't have money. But there's a lot of people who purport that they don't have money that, like, you know, they do, right? And so we have to be very careful, I think, about just letting everyone play the game, right? And I feel bad about this, but there's lots of organizations out there that give people the benefit of the doubt. And as Corey said, right, like there's a lot of us that are probably willing to, like Corey, you know, said this before, which he probably disagrees with. Like if you were to go in there and you were to spend like, you know, 3, 4, 5 days workshopping on this proposal and you didn't have a DAO token, like probably somebody on our team would give you one, right? Just so that you can vote, right? Like,
if
we're not
if
giving away DAO tokens,
100%, like that,
right? Like,
exactly, like that. Those people will get lifted up. Period.
Right.
But I do think like
Uplifted.
having it as a core, right? Having it as a core principle that we will stay committed to creating a frictionless way for people in the third or developing world to become meaningful members of our community and have their genius shine with the rest of the crazy geniuses that are doing shit now.
Right.
Why wouldn't we do that? There's no downside. Now, granted, we can't start at the top, I don't think, right?
Yeah.
But like creating a pathway to turn time into ownership of land and world DAO tokens and ultimately DAO tokens, and that like just fucking A, game on, right? That just is it's a principle that I think we would all agree on.
But we give away shards, we give away passports and things like that.
Upliftium like
random,
crazy, right? So
to random community members.
Yeah.
But it's
already
like
exists.
I'm not gonna run a freaking duck race to give you a DAO token. If you want a DAO token from me, and it's only one, and it's not worth anything, but your voice is worth everything, right?
Yeah.
Duck races are fun, Jimmy. What are you talking about?
It is, but like I want you involved, right? Like I actually, it's
funny
funny because
virtual
I'm actually probably a little bit more like, people don't know this, but I'm actually more guarded than anyone else in the team. I don't even like giving away shards, right? Like I want to give away passports and have people go into the world and find a QR code to get the shards, right? Like that's what I want to do. I don't even want to give away shards for free, right? Now I understand like giving away shards.
Well, that's a play experience. That's the same thing though.
Like people
Shards
will sell them
it's very played right now too.
Right.
That's new free.
No, it's good. Like they'll be
Play
in the
is the new
world. I
free.
mean, they'll be in the world. They'll entice the secondary market. But like, I don't want to give people anything that aren't a part of our community, and that's me. Like, right? Like I'm just me. Like the DAO can disagree with me, and the DAO will get its way, right? But for me, I want to empower people who are part of our community. I want to empower people who are here that are building, and I do realize that we need to give promotion, right? But like, like my personal objective, my personal position is, Corey and we don't take money for this show. We're not influencers. We don't take anything for the show. We give everything away for free, and I'm kind of against influencers, right? And so I'm just saying it this way, right? Like if you have something to contribute, and Corey's done this, I've done this, I've given away plots of land free, Lisa, right? Because people kind of built something cool, and here's a plot, right? Like go play to earn, right? Like if you're part of the community, if you're a part of the active engagement of what we're building, then pretty much anyone on the team is going to help you become more of a part of that community, right? If you're coming in saying, oh, I don't believe that you're an actual DAO, give me something for free, well, fuck off. Seriously. Sorry, but like that's
Jimmy's going to be there welcoming each person. What is your intent before you pass through the gate?
Well, and right, there's going to be all kinds, right? There's people that are super passionate about the DAO. There's people that are just still playing, and that's great. Like it really, it's an amazing filter, right?
Simulation. You're gonna have people who are negative. You're gonna have people who are deceptive. You're gonna have people who are supportive. You get the whole thing.
Yeah. So Matthew,
especially as we get bigger.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Matthew, if you didn't link your wallet before the first, then you don't. But you will get something for the second drop. But again, like, look, like now you have DGen and Ethereum land, and there were a lot of ETH people on the community. Like, I don't know, Corey, maybe we should explore this. And I don't mean today, I don't mean tomorrow. But like, how can we? Maybe we can even set up a donation pool of people who bought land in Ethereum who didn't have the chance to link their wallets and give them one DAO token so that they can have a voice, right?
Well, we didn't know. I mean, that's like, you can go buy it. They're fucking cheap. They're 0.7 pennies right now. Go buy them if you care, right? So TC said we need to make it like as easy as humanly possible for people to buy the DAO token. Like, no, like Ethereum right now has the largest market cap, like more than almost all the other ones combined for all the alts, right? So the pathway to getting DAO tokens right now is have any Ethereum and click one button. It cannot get easier than that. And if you care as much as I do, you'll figure it out. Now,
yeah, and
What's the
actually,
one
you,
button?
you
I
make
think
a really
that
good point.
script-
If you had enough money to buy Ethereum in degen land, then you have enough money to buy a DAO token. You make a very
100%,
good
right?
point.
Like that, yeah. So, and I think like the and again, like the DAO is entirely welcome to do proposals and tell me to go fuck myself, right? And I can't wait for them to actually do it. But hopefully not in those terms. But I'm pretty fucking whatever. But I think like the creating a frictionless environment as we get closer to the end of 2024, again for no particular reason. I
Right.
there will come a time where I think my sentiment flips on this, because I do think we have the ability to drive the UDT price, a lot, which will benefit everybody who's around now picking it up, right? So we'll be able to get on that.
Yeah, and I agree with you, Mike. I think this is I gave free shit to people who came back a month later and complained that like we weren't giving enough free shit. So yeah, fair enough.
It's funny too. Everybody was really, really excited about me adding on free land for the Uplift sale, and now those same people hate me for it,
Right?
because the price went down.
You
Right?
inflated the price.
I had somebody who I'm a huge fan of was like, this was the beginning of the end, right? Like players count dropped and like the network effect dropped, which is like categorically not true. The data after the Uplift sale, more people got more land. The price went down. Very true, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's ultimately what he was talking about. Number go down, bad, which it is. Nobody likes that, right? But the real truth is that the number of active players skyrocketed after that,
right?
And the number of people holding land skyrocketed after that, right? So like it had benefits, but at the same time, I do think scarcity has to be something that we manage really carefully, right? And that was the whole goal behind getting 80 different partner projects for Ethereum and degen. And I'll tell you right now, it didn't work, right? Like the market sentiment or whatever, like the what I thought would happen gathering that many people and that many communities together, it didn't have the result that we wanted, right? So even that, like we're learning from that, and like, do we have to do more? Do we have to do something different? Whatever it is, right? But we have to stay ahead of that curve. And like what the scarcity thing that PFP projects, as an example, can do, right? They're going to launch 10,000. They're only going to do that, and they'll only ever drop new things on current token holders or whatever, right? That's fantastic. You know what it costs to run I'm a degen, Jimmy? Zero.
No idea.
They've got no ongoing costs at all. It costs them nothing. So yeah, good for them, right? Our servers, until we started to solve this now, and it's going to cause its own problems, right? Like lag is going to be an issue, right? We're 10 grand a month minimum. So we have to make money in a way that some projects probably don't, right? And so if we're not opening up new land and trying our best to stay ahead of it by bringing in way more people than we're like releasing new land, right? Which is sort of my goal still. We'll see, figure out how we can do that in a bear market, right? But how do we make money? And like we've got a bunch of proposals that just passed that are how to do that, right? And so like that's a solvable thing, and it's really cool to see people diving into that. And I think we've only scratched the surface of that, right? So we know we need to make revenue just to stay alive, and how do we do that? That doesn't have new land sales. And the cool thing is, like, not only did we have a bunch of ideas that we're going to put into practice over the next few weeks, but I think we're just scratching the surface. So we're going to be able to do even better at that. And then still like have a very wary eye to scarcity at all times. I think it's just a really good ongoing discussion. It's smart.
Well, then, yeah. I mean, don't even get me started on. Don't even get me started on how the team is uplifting this bear market, because like that's not even
what,
right? Like we're like the majority of us on the team are actually working for free because we don't have a runway. Right? Like we're working for, some of us are working for DAO tokens, right? Like and so some of us are working for. I mean, I made a promise to the DAO that I would work for free if they made me more beautiful, and I think it's working. I look in the mirror every day, and it seems like I'm a little bit more beautiful every day.
You are beautiful, Jimmy.
Yeah. I mean, I'll tell you, you're more beautiful every day if that'll help. Yeah, I mean, like, I'm not sure that I've ever been more optimistic about the Uplift and its future but it is the most challenging time that we will ever have right now.
Maybe.
Well,
You may
okay,
have thought
that's a
that
good point.
6
Like
months
in the
ago.
future, right? It could get way worse. Thanks, Lisa. You ray of fucking sunshine. I should have said so far. No, you're right. Like it really, we could get a lot bigger, and like things, like challenges can definitely come, right?
You might as well have a good day just in case.
Fucking A. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, and it really like we're the paths forward being as opened up as they are, I think is probably why I'm so excited, because now, and we really have the DAO is this mechanism where everybody's voice can be heard, and I still think we're scratching the surface of that, right? People are used to like having good ideas and then like waiting for me to say yes, and like that's categorically wrong. Like that doesn't matter anymore, right? I mean, you can impress me with an idea, and it like I might go like, oh, well, that's a really good idea, and if it doesn't turn into a proposal, it doesn't matter, right? And when people just start like skipping me and going directly to the proposal thing and getting it workshopped by the smartest people in the Uplift, again, not me, that's going to be a good day, and it's starting to happen. It's like we're again only scratching the surface of it.
Yeah, great.
SDP, did you get more beautiful just now, Jimmy?
I
think
he did, because everyone's looking at him with eyes of beauty.
That's true.
Right. There's a glow in this face that, like, until you see me in real life, you will never understand.
Aw. Look at that smile. See, that does it.
Yeah, right. I'm excited. I mean, so yeah, like on the Jimmy front, I mean, I'll be here all week. That's good. Next week, I might miss a few days because I'm getting on a plane, with 2 kids, and I'm traveling back to North America, which will be fun. And then Corey, shit's gonna get fucking weird because we're gonna be in the same time zone.
Yeah. What?
Like, what the fuck are we?
Like, I'm gonna be getting like morning Jimmy in my morning.
Right, and happy hour is gonna be happy for both of us.
You're gonna have to do 2 shows a day.
Yeah, that's a whole thing. Hey, SDP, if you did the pre-proposal out there and got no help on it, whose fault is that? Because you got a really fun habit of thinking it's everyone else's fault. You're a fucking genius. Go figure it out. Seriously, like that.
Call Jen.
Yeah, that seriously, and calling Jen is a really good idea. I've been watching Mike hold himself back in some really key areas, and I'm just not gonna let you do it anymore.
Yeah, Jen was amazing. She took ideas and crafted it with other ideas and delivered. Like, it was amazing. I highly recommend that experience, if for no other reason.
Actually, Mike's
already on with Jen in a couple hours because, again, genius. He's gonna get that shit figured out, which is awesome.
On her show. Okay,
Mike,
cool.
Already doing it.
I kind of feel bad saying bad things about other people. Corey knows this, but like, Corey's right, because if you're gonna blame me on this, like, I don't have an email of something that I can propose on the official blog. I mean, you didn't send that to me, and I would have done it.
This is a solid point, dude. After you're done. Damn it, Jimmy! After
you're
done workshopping it, and like send that to me, Mike, as well, because I wanna take a look at it, and we should actually just like have a call and talk about it, because there's, I think, some constraints that will need to be mapped into it, right? It's like, like the thing with Landbox, he wanted cash up front. You know how much cash up front the Uplift can do right now? Fucking less than 0. Right? Like that's not a thing we can entertain in any way. But there's other ways.
Literally less than 0. People are like buying stuff to play.
Yeah, so as an idea, right? That doesn't mean that there's other ways to do it, because there is. And I'll share with you the suggestion that I made to Fox that he turned down because they're busy doing other stuff or whatever. Like, we'll end up doing something with them down the road maybe, but yeah, SDP just wants DAO tokens. Well, fucking rock and roll, because we have a few. But again, like, they're gonna get priced at the absolute max, because the Uplift DAO itself has so few of them to play with that we need to be super careful with it, right? But at the same time, I think that's definitely a path forward. 100%.
And for anyone watching this back, just to point this out. Like, we've had Mike on the channel before. Mike's been, you know, a massive supporter of ours.
Huge fan.
And Mike has done more with his own bandwidth than like almost anyone we know.
Yeah, MetaBuilders is amazing. And even just like the network of portals. Is it in London or Uplift? I can't remember. Sorry, dude.
Yeah, so I think
that network of portals is like itself is a historical monument in the Uplift,
right?
Now.
Yeah,
right. Because like nobody had ever tried something that crazy before. The single biggest Upliftium spend in history is Mike Smarticus.
So Uplift was like the clear and present champion, and Mike Smart's portal network basically jump started London into existence again.
Yep.
Right. Yeah, it was pretty amazing.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see when I don't know if Mike, you've done any. Sorry, I'm brain farting now. But like advertising through those portals
Mike.
and stuff.
Don't get me excited. Don't get me excited. Don't do it. You don't want to see Jimmy excited.
I think having 6969 UDT should count for like 10% more voting power. Now, is that because I'm a 13-year-old boy? Basically, yes. That's the thing.
All right.
Show. All right, guys. So, Lisa, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Do you guys have anything you want to?
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Shout out?
And I may see you tomorrow with JR, but meanwhile, I encourage everyone, go to jrslands.com and mine and show your support.
Yeah, we'll be back here, you know, all week here and there, and it's like I really missed you, Corey. It's nice to see you too, Lisa, but like it's been a week since I've been on with Corey, and it feels like a lifetime ago. It's weird, crypto.
That's wow.
Yeah, I mean, like, where are we? We're everywhere, and we're still going places because, like, fucking, you know, we're the Uplift, man.